Hi guys, welcome to Future Recapped. Today, I am going to explain a psychological science fiction movie called Th3 C3ll. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. In the near future, a psychotherapist becomes a part of a revolutionary new treatment, which allows her mind to literally enter the mind of her patients. Her experience in this method takes an unexpected turn, when an FBI agent comes to ask for a desperate favor. They had just tracked down a notorious serial killer, whose method of operation is to abduct women one at a time, and place them in a secret area where they are kept for many hours, until they are slowly drowned. Unfortunately, the serial killer has fallen into an irreversible coma, which means he cannot confess where he has taken his latest victim before she dies. Now, the psychotherapist must race against time to explore the twisted mind of the killer, to get the information she needs. But, the serial killer's damaged personality poses dangers that threaten to overwhelm her. Formerly, the police found a dead female body in a river, somewhere in a remote area. So far, they have found 6 cases with 6 female victims, being murdered in the same bizarre way. It's revealed that the killer trapped his female targets in a cell, made of glass, where they were kept and tortured brutally. The killer even used an automatic timer, to ensure that water would slowly fill the cell, and bleach the body underwater. He also used a hoist to suspend himself above those victims' bodies, and enjoyed himself with the whole execution process, which would last for as long as 48 hours. After that, the killer took the bodies to his home, and made them into doll-like puppets. The police speculate that the killer must be extremely obsessed with the dolls. Now, after investigating the crime scene of the 7th victim, Detective Peter finds some useful evidence. The green paint, which is supposedly scratched down from a car, and a white hair that is shown under the DNA test, coming from a dog, with albinism. As only a small amount of dogs would suffer that kind of disease, Peter checks the dealing record, and quickly targets a man named Carl. Carl owns a car in green color, which is matched exactly with the green paint found at the crime scene. At the same time, the police are reported with the 8th murder case, where a young lady is kidnapped in the same way. Peter and his men locate Carl's residence soon, and break in immediately for the rescue. There, they receive no resistance, but only find Carl lying on the floor, unconsciously. After a thorough search, Peter finds some tools, supposed to be used for the crime, and video footage as well, showing images of the struggling victims. On the other hand, Carl is apparently treated as the murder suspect, and taken away for intensive medical care. However, later from watching the surveillance camera, the police are astonished to see that rather than being confined inside the same house, the 8th victim is placed somewhere else in a dangerous situation, where she's about to be drowned by water, slowly filling the glass tank. Now, knowing that there are only 40 hours left for water to fill the whole tank, the police have to rush their investigation on Carl, in order to rescue the poor girl out before it's too late. Unfortunately, after a medical inspection on Carl, the doctor finds it unable to wake him up from his coma, due to his schizophrenia, which is a rare disease. This would make him stay comatose, and possibly suffer a memory loss, even if he's awakened up forcibly. The doctor, however, proposes to Peter a virtual reality experiment conducted by an institute, that could allow psychologists to enter the coma patients' minds and coax them into their consciousness. In that way, they may hack into Carl's comatose mind, and find some clues for the lost girl. Later, Peter visits that institute, and asks for help. Professor Catherine, who is a psychotherapist, takes charge of this project. Although she hesitates to take the mission at the beginning, for the treatment is still experimental, and would cause some neurological damage on the recipient. After learning of its importance to rescue an innocent, helpless victim, she chooses to accept it. Catherine is later sent into Carl's mind. She's then brought to a creepy hell-like castle in Carl's dreamscape, where she later finds a timid young boy, who tries to approach her, but keeps some distance from her at the same time. She then follows the boy to a room, and notices a big horse standing there. She walks to the horse, and tries to be nice to it. Moments later, however, as the bell stops clicking, the boy rushes to push Catherine away from the horse, which is cut into pieces in a second, by the glass cutters falling from the roof. Catherine is shocked by that, but finds the little boy just goes away after saving her. Now, Catherine continues her search, and later comes to a room full of glass enclosures. She's frightened to find many female dead bodies locked inside, which are made into puppets. Meanwhile, a muscular devil shows up behind her, stuns her in the head, and takes her away. After she awakens, she only finds herself lying in a lobby, while the devil is standing next to her like a king, but with a gloomy face. He then approaches Catherine, and attempts to make her one of those doll-like puppets as well. In huge horror, Catherine presses the escape button on her hand quickly, and pulls herself back to reality. After her first contact, she gets to know that the serial killer Carl is dominated by multiple selves. The little boy is actually the young, innocent Carl, while the muscular devil is Carl's adult self, who has been occupied with evils. Now, to rescue the young girl, Catherine enters into Carl's dreamscape again. She finds the young Carl in the kitchen, and gives him a little mirror, to signal her when he's in danger. Right then, however, the boy hides Catherine in the closet, and she gets to notice Carl's sadistic father, who abuses him when he makes mistakes. Carl grew up in such a sadistic family. He always suffered tortures and abuses from his father, especially when his father noticed that his mom allowed Carl to play girly dolls often, which was definitely seen as abnormal and forbidden. The mom later left them, but the father never stopped his abuse of little Carl. After that, Catherine comes to another scene, which is the place where the adult Carl killed the first girl. Due to the long-lasting abuse from his father, he's suffering from schizophrenia, and turned to get obsessed with making the dead female bodies into doll-like puppets. Catherine appeases the adult Carl, trying to lead him out of the dark, and find any clue to the missing victim, but to no avail. Just then, the adult Carl loses his control, and suddenly turns into the devil Carl, who challenges her and knocks her out immediately, right before she can push the button to escape his dreamscape. Now, with the red flag flashing on their screens, the researchers notice that Catherine gets in trouble in Carl's mind, but they can't do anything to help her out, because the escape button is designed for the recipient only. Any forced disconnection from the mind will inflict neurological damage on the recipient's own body. She has to be awakened in Carl's dreamscape, and make her escape herself. Otherwise, she would be locked there, forever. Without any choice, Peter decides to risk his life to join the experiment, hoping to wake Catherine up in that way. Soon, Peter is brought to Carl's dreamscape, and finds everything as creepy as hell there. Following the flashlight reflecting in the mirror, which Catherine gave to the young Carl, Peter identifies Catherine later in a golden palace, who is dressed up like a gorgeous queen, and draws Peter's attention. However, the devil Carl shows up from nowhere instantly, and overpowers Peter before taking him to a table for execution, where Peter is tortured bloodily with his guts pulled out one by one. While keeping himself awake through the great pains, Peter manages to reawaken Catherine's awareness, by reminding her of something significant and unforgettable to her. Just then, Catherine stabs the devil Carl in his back, causing him to disappear suddenly, and recover Peter's injury. Later, Peter and Catherine are brought to another scene. The young, innocent Carl shows up, next to a huge glass water tank, where the 8th female victim is locked. They then carefully check the mysterious symbols on the tank, and notice that these symbols must be the clue to finding the missing victim. Right at that time, however, the devil Carl approaches near, and takes the little Carl into the dark. Now, missing the chance to rescue the innocent Carl, Catherine and Peter have to push the escape button and come back to the real world. Later, they locate a factory with the same symbol shown on the water tank, and rescue the 8th victim, enslaved in an abandoned warehouse. On the other side, hoping to rescue the young Carl, Catherine locks herself in the lab, and operates the experiment device reversely, which brings the young Carl into her own mind world, which turns to be a sacred paradise, without evils and pains. The little Carl is more willing to get close to people there, and confesses that he doesn't want to witness more victims to be killed anymore. However, since he can't overpower the devil Carl in his dreamscape, he begs Catherine to kill them both, which is the only way to stop the murder of more female victims. Right then, however, the devil Carl intrudes as a scaly snake man, and fights with Catherine violently. As Catherine is in control of her own mental world, she overpowers the devil Carl easily, and terminates him eventually with a sword impaling his body. Meanwhile, the innocent Carl also suffers the same injury and dies later in Catherine's maternal arms, while the serial killer Carl, in reality, is confined in his comatose status permanently. And here the movie ends, but we have a lot more waiting. You can just click on one of the movies on your screen and continue the show. Or, subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help out the channel.